हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू TUF। आई एम दिव्यांशी सिंह और इस वीडियो में हम आज के न्यूज़पेपर में जो इम्पोर्टेंट न्यूज़ है उसको कवर करेंगे। सो टुडे इज़ 8 अगस्त। सो शुरू करते हैं। यहाँ पे जो पहली न्यूज़ है ये आपके पेपर GS1 GS2 इसमें आप इसको यूज़ कर सकते हैं इन योर हेल्थ सेक्शन और इन योर गवर्नेंस सेक्शन, राइट? और यू कैन ऑल्सो यूज़ इट इन योर वल्नरेबल सेक्शन, right? Child, women who need help, right? So there was this recently in news, this Asha Kiran home, which is a shelter home set up by Delhi government, right? Which is set up exclusively for orphans and destitute patients. So recently there were reports, right, where 14 inhabitants of the shelter died within a month of July. So 14 inhabitants died. So there was a committee set up to investigate into the matter, and the committee has now submitted its report to the Delhi High Court, right? And there are examples of several deficiencies that this shelter home had, right? So what are the deficiencies? The shelter home had only one psychiatrist that had to look after 938 intellectually challenged inmates, right? And also the capacity of the shelter house was only 570, but it was accommodating about 940 inhabitants, right, including 399 as women. So the shelter home was overloaded beyond its capacity, right? Then understaffed. You can see that there was only one psychiatrist per 940 intellectually challenged inmates, and this is the report by Department of Social Welfare. So Department of Social Welfare has given its report, right? And the report जो findings है that says that of the 14 people who died in the home in July alone, 7 were suffering from loose motions, 3 complained of breathing issues, 3 were suffering from malnutrition, and 3 from anemia, and 1 from nutritional deficiency. The home is supposed to have 3 clinical psychologists, but it has none, right? And the post of a physiotherapist is also lying vacant. There is only one cook in the home, whereas there should be 3. So there is only one cook making food for 938 people. So that is the glaring situation. And the home does not even have a single physical education teacher or special educator, craft instructor or music teacher, right? So this is the condition of this shelter home, right? And here the High Court says that the problem is human lives don't have a cost, right? So the recruitment of doctors and decongestion of Asha Kiran home, a government shelter for the intellectually challenged in Rohini. These are the urgent steps required. You need to decongest it and also recruit the necessary staff and doctors. So this case study you can use in your paper 1, paper 2, right? Governance wale mein you can use it. So these are the current examples that give you an edge. Then second is the ideas page, where there is article The Lessons from Wayanad. So this is by Madhav Gadgil, right, who has also submitted a report. High level working group committee was formed in, right, and it had submitted its report on Western Ghats only. So इनका ये आर्टिकल आया है, and I have covered Wayanad in a separate video, so you can go and check it out, right? So here I am not going to tell each and every detail, but the article says that that the necessity of local vegetation, when you cut the local vegetation and replace it with exotic vegetation or commercial plantation, that can also add to the disaster, right? As in the case of Wayanad. So while he went to the place, he found that the river of mud from the landslide had wound its way down a gorge for 1.5 kilometers, right? And the river of mud had left no trace of the eucalyptus plantation in its ruthless march. But one tree stood proud and erect on its root. It was Ficus badaumi. So it's a original vegetation. So this clearly brought out the fact that replacement of original natural tree cover by exotics like eucalyptus had contributed to this disaster. So this is a very important point. People would not know, but when you talk about deforestation, when you talk about the importance of forest, use such kind of examples. Use examples like this, right? The role of natural vegetation that it plays. Whenever we talk about compensatory afforestation, right, what are the issues? Issues is that we are not planting the natural species, the original species that are there in the region, right? So that does not actually lead to entirely compensating for the loss of natural vegetation. So we also have to look into, in order to actually make the process of afforestation effective, make the process of compensatory afforestation effective, we have to ensure that we are planting local vegetation, right, and not some exotic species of plants. So here you can use this example. It would look that you know what you are writing, right? So it has talked about how historically during British time, the plantation, because they wanted what? They wanted profits. They wanted to make the country resourceless. So they were not worried about the ecology or anything, right? So earlier, even when the shifting cultivation was practiced by the locals, they used to cut the trees, do the cultivation in the region, but then after that they left the patch for about 15-20 years so that the natural vegetation would grow again. But what happened that during the Britishers, when the shifting cultivators, they used to leave the patch, the laborers were not available for the plantation work because the cultivators were busy in their own cultivation, right? So they were trying to eliminate shifting cultivation so that they had laborers also for their plantation work, right? So these estate owners wanted labor that would be made to work pretty much like slaves. So that is the historical factor that they have taken into picture while they were making their report, right? So overall, the economic interest of the British lay in rendering people resourceless and dedicating forest tracts to tea and coffee plantation owned by their compatriots and growing timber for their military and construction needs. So the Western Ghat Ecology Expert Panel took on board this historical background and painted a realistic picture of what was happening in India, right? And then the article says that the increasing frequency and intensity of human interaction, such as mines and quarries, roads and buildings on hilly slopes everywhere, including in ecologically highly sensitive regions. So all of these factors have contributed to the trigger of landslides in the region. So what is the way forward that the article suggests, or the report, Gadgil report suggests, was that we need to do the zoning. We need to do this zoning, right? The area as ecologically fragile, ecologically sensitive, right? And there should be 3 zones: high, moderate and low in terms of ecological sensitivity, right? And we need to follow a bottom up process of democratic decision making, right? So that should begin from gram sabhas and mohalla sabhas, because locals are more aware of the local situation, so they can give a more deeper insight as to what is going on in the region, what is the ecology, what is the hydrology, local hydrology. Locals are more aware, so you should bring them in picture, right? And the report's suggestion that it suggested regarding zoning, regarding no construction zone, regarding no settlement zone, that should be followed so that future such incidents could be avoided, right? So we have discussed in our earlier video that what were the causes that have led to the landslides in the region, right? So one is that we have converted it into meteorological factor, where we have seen that the region has seen heavy rainfall within a day, right? 140 mm and even 300 mm rainfall in a day. So that is the meteorological factor. right? Then there was also warming of Arabian Sea, so that has led to making the region more thermodynamically unstable. So these are what? These are meteorological factors and the climate change. Then you can talk about the anthropogenic factors, right? In that you will talk about illegal mining and quarrying in the region. There was deforestation, right? And plantation works, removal of original vegetation, with and replacing it with exotic vegetation like eucalyptus. उसके अलावा you can talk about constructing roads without considering the slopes in the region, right? Doing slope modification. So all that has to be scientific. It has to factor in the sensitivity of the region. So these are what? These are all anthropological factors. Then increasing pressure on land due to settlement, tourism activity in ecologically fragile region, right? So unscientifically planned tourism. So these are all anthropological factors. Then there are certain geological factors, right? Where this region is made up of layer of soil and rock, right? So excessive rainfall has led to water penetration in this layer, right? Which has made it weak, and that triggered the landslide. So these are the factors that have caused the landslides in the region. And then the way forward, that we have already discussed in a video that is there on Wayanad, so you can check it out. Then there is an article, A Crime Against Women. So this article you can use in your paper Society, right, as well as your vulnerable section in mains. So it talks about and it is written by Vivek Devroy, right, and he is the chairman, Economic Advisory Council to the Prime Minister. So this article is particularly about the rural women, right? The plight of rural women, what they have to go through. So there are crimes like witch hunting, which still goes on in several parts of rural India, and which is a problem. And the article says that there is not much legislative significance given to the issue. There is still no national level legislation on the issue of witch hunting, right? So the article says that in July 2021, the UN Human Rights Council adopted a resolution on the elimination of harmful practices related to accusations of witchcraft and ritual attacks, right? And ये UN का data है that between 2009 and 2019, in a 10-year period, in 60 countries, right, this is practiced, witch hunting, right? Understandably, many of such incidences, they go unreported and undocumented, but whatever is documented, according to UN data, the intensity is highest in Africa, right? But still, it is also prevalent in USA and like developed parts of the world, USA and Europe, and also in India, right? So NCRB is the National Crime Records Bureau. So NCRB data ke according, in 2022, there were 85 such murders that happened in India, which are concentrated mostly in the tribal belt, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand and Odisha. In addition, there are also instances in Assam, Bihar and Telangana. But we are still at about 100 a year, and these are just murders with witchcraft as motive, right? So this article says that witchcraft is still a problem in rural India, right? And there are legislations by the state governments which are although recent in nature, right? And there is the issue with these legislature that some of these legislation they categorize, they also like punish witchcraft. At the same time they also punish witch hunting. So we need to actually rationalize the laws, right? And work on a national level legislation as well to deal with the problem, right? Legislation, and also like just coming up with the legislation would not help, right? If the police reforms are, and the criminal justice system, adequate criminal justice system is not in place, right? Our young men with dreams of a developed India and hailing from metro India may not be aware of a problem that has plagued parts of Indian rural society for ages, right? So we need to work on this problem as well, right? And we have to, the laws that we have, right, IPC, right, or the recent replacement of the laws, they should have specific sections on both the crimes, witchcrafts and witch hunting, right? So it should not be a general legislation, right? And NCRB should start, reports should be more refined with a separate category for both crimes, witchcraft and witch hunting, right? And not simply murders with witchcraft as motive. So you should come up with more specific categorization, right? So that you can actually solve the issue. So that is this article. Labeling of women with mental health issues such as witches in large parts of the country points to failure of societies and abdications of laws. So this leads to what? This leads to exploitation of women, right? The childless women or the widowed women, many a times for their property, etc., they are being termed as witches, right? And then they are murdered also. So that is the exploitation that women go through, and we need to come up with a law, right? So this is what this article talks about. This is relevant for your topic women, right, in your GS1 paper or GS2 paper. So you should, right? Then there is this news, slow pace a worry, BIMSTEC members need to find a new pathways for फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट. सो बिम्स्टेक के बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए कि बिम्स्टेक में कौन कौन से कंट्रीज़ हैं, राइट? सो बिम्स्टेक इंक्लूड्स बांग्लादेश, भूटान, नेपाल, इंडिया, श्रीलंका, म्यांमार एंड थाईलैंड. सो अभी तक देर इज़ नो फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट विद द ब्लॉक, right? And the agreement is being negotiated since 2004 with 22 rounds of talks held so far, including the last round that was held in 2018. So you can talk about here that this is the South Asian region. South Asian region, it is the most least integrated region when it comes to trade, right? And there was this World Bank report also, a glass half full, right, which talks about how this region is least integrated in terms of trade. And if India has to increase its significance, right, if India has to play a global player, we have to ensure that the region is integrated well, right? So we have to come up with free trade agreement. We have to ensure that we are effectively engaged economically in terms of trade, right? So that's what यहाँ पर it is said that India considers the members of the bloc a priority as our first port of call. So maybe if a free trade agreement is not coming up currently, we can try and bring preferential trade agreement at faster pace, because we see that India's total trade with BIMSTEC is around $45 billion in 23-24, whereas Thailand was India's largest trading partner within the bloc. So we need to improve this trade, right, so that we can also emerge as a global player, right, and counter China in the region, counter presence of China in the region. So that is what Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is pointing out, right? So यहाँ पर it's a homework for you to check what is preferential trade agreement, what is free trade agreement, what is comprehensive economic partnership agreement, right? So there are certain types of trade agreements, right? There are different categories of trade agreements. So this is the homework for you to check what are those different categories of trade agreements. So this was it for this lecture. Thank you.